From now, you won't have to wait until 2017 to experience the Isle of Wight Festival. Running at the Portsmouth Guildhall is an exhibition of the first 3 years of the world-famous event, highlighting its origins in 1968. It forms part of the Portsmouth Music Experience Gallery. Its curator, Nigel Grundy, was himself a young rock fan who was there in 1968, and he remembers seeing many of the acts who performed.
Crazy Well of Arthur Brown. Arthur Brown couldn't get his fire helmet lit because of the conditions. Jefferson Airplane came on. They played well. They had a very large road crew with them. They were the only non-English band that played there. And Fairport Convention ended up finishing up in the morning. And Ian Matthews, who was one of the singers at the time, who was saying with his eyes closed, said he remembers starting to sing, and when he opened his eyes, the sun was up, and they were the last band.
The festival is also remembered for relaunching the career of the recently announced Nobel Peace Prize laureate Bob Dylan. Nigel recalls how they did that.
They contacted his manager, offered him $50,000, which is £20,000 in those days, a lot more now. Waited for a couple of days. Manager got back to him and said he's possibly interested. So Ray Fook put together a document with photographs of the Isle of Wight, descriptions, made a little film, little 8mm home movie for him. They organised a farmhouse for him to stay in and almost made it like a little holiday for him and his family. Sent it to him and waited a couple of nail-biting days, and then his manager telegrammed back and said, Dylan's going to accept, we can do it. And that's how it all started. And then, of course, they had to try and find some money to pay him.
Chief Executive of Portsmouth Cultural Trust, Andy Graves, believes the Isle of Wight Festival really was the daddy of them all. And without it, today's festival scene may never have come about.
I think the truth is that the original Isle of Wight Festival, from what I understand, and my colleague Nigel and others would know an awful lot more about it than I do, it broke new ground. And I was talking to a number of people at a music event this week who run festivals, and as great as today's festivals are, there are hundreds of them. In those days, there was next to nothing. And I think the Isle of Wight Festival broke new ground. It spurred arguably Glastonbury. The very first festival I ever went to was Reading in the early 80s, and then there were only maybe 3 or 4 big festivals in the UK. So I think what we have here is a bit of history, of not just about the artists, but also the context of live music. You've got to remember there was no internet, Top of the Pops was in its infancy, so people were coming along paying relatively cheaper ticket prices than today, and getting to see their favourite artists. And it was incredibly popular.
And finally, who's this girl? Is it you or someone you may know from back in 1968? The photograph and the image has inspired songs the world over. The Guildhall would like to identify once and for all who she really was. For That's Solent, I'm Jason Rushworth.